Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Saturday, August 10th, 2019. This is episode 1616. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Wasabi Hot Cloud Storage. Thinking about moving your data storage to the cloud? Wasabi is enterprise-grade cloud storage at 1/5 the price of Amazon S3 and up to 6 times faster, with no hidden fees for egress or API requests. Calculate your savings and try Wasabi with a free unlimited storage for a month at wasabi.com. Code TWIT. Well, hey. How are you today, Leo? Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater. We're talking digital photography. We're talking smartphones. We're talking smart watches. We're talking anything with a chip in it. That's what this show's all about, the Anything with a Chip in It show. The phone number is 8888-ASK-LEO, 888-827-5536. That's toll-free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can call, too. But if you're outside that area, you can also reach us. Just use Skype out or something like that and call 8888-ASK-LEO. The website is techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. And that's free. That's always there, always open. A great place for you to go to see, if I mention something, to find links and leave your thoughts, because sometimes people listen to the show and they get angry. They say, Leo, you're wrong. You are wrong. Bitcoin is the next big thing. You are wrong. Teslas are not worth the batteries they're printed on. You're wrong. And you could go there instead of yelling at the radio, which is fruitless because I can't hear you. Go to the site and rate that there. And there's no cost, no obligation. No salesman will call. We don't even ask for a sign-up. Actually, for leaving a comment, we just say log in with your Twitter or your Google or your Facebook. That way we don't get spam. techguylabs.com. Samsung had its event. It's they call it Samsung Unpacked 2019. They had that on Wednesday. It was the announcement of the Note 10. Are you a Note fan? I like the Notes. I've had every Note, even the exploding Note, which I sent back. They're the big phones. They're the phones that started the whole phablet thing, the phone that's a tablet. It's funny because I'm looking back, and the original Note wasn't that big. It was smaller than the iPhone XS Max. It was smaller than most phones. Was it 5.8 inches? It wasn't that big. We felt like it was big. When you're looking at a 4-inch phone from Apple, almost 6-inch phone, that feels big. Well, now it's 6.8 inches for the 10 Plus. Nice, if you're a Note fan, not the 10 Plus, the Note Plus, Note 10 Plus, yeah. If you're a Note fan, you'll like it because it's got the stylus, and they're making the stylus do more. Now you can wave it like a magic wand, like Tom Cruise in Minority Report, and have the screen do things. And I don't know if I'll ever use that, but they put it in there. There's enough power and juice in these guys now. They could do some pretty amazing things. They demonstrated. I'll probably again never do this, but you could take a thing, an object, or I guess a person if they could sit really still. Rotate the phone all the way around and make a 3D model out of it. That's been around for a while, but that's cool. It's got the cameras to do that in the back of the phone. The special depth sensing camera. They call it a time of flight sensor. It's a LiDAR, basically, time of flight sensor in the back. So they can get a 3D map. But then the thing that's really cool they demonstrated is then you could take that 3D object and you know how Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram will add little dog ears and a tongue that goes out or rainbows or whatever to your photo? You can do that. You can make your own. You're not stuck with whatever Snapchat gives you. You can make your own. You can make a 3D object. Then you could say, 3D object, look at this person and do what she's doing. And your arms go up the objects. You could dance. They made a teddy bear dance. I think that's cool. I never will use it, but it's cool. This is the problem with modern phones. They do all the basic phone stuff just fine. Nobody's going to buy a phone because you can make calls with it or send texts with it. or even open Instagram or Facebook with it. That's not going to sell a phone. So they have to add kind of kooky new features. But that's a fun one. It was interesting, though. I didn't realize this till afterward, and I saw an article in PC Magazine. I went, oh, yeah. This is a big Samsung event. They're announcing a new phone. They didn't mention Google or Android at all. You wouldn't even know it's running Android. It is, but you wouldn't even know that. They don't want to mention the G word. The B word was also absent, and that surprised me. Every Samsung phone for the last few generations has had an extra button on the side, the Bixby button, which is annoying because it's a button that does something you don't really care about. At least certainly I don't. Do you use Bixby? That's their voice assistant. Bixby's going to go in the way of Cortana, which is Microsoft's voice assistant, which is they're looking at Google and Amazon and the Echo, and they're looking maybe at Apple, maybe not. Apple might be the next to go, and saying, we give up. We can't compete. We can't do it. So there's no more Bixby button, which shocked me. They didn't even mention Bixby at the event. They had some Bixby ads before the event began, so maybe they're not giving up entirely on Bixby, but the ads were kind of silly. Showed a guy locked his keys in the car, and I guess his phone, and he's shouting through the window, hey Bixby. No, Bixby can't let you in, sorry. He was saying, text my wife, help. I guess, I don't know. Call AAA. Maybe that's it. I guess that's useful if it happens if you lock your keys in the car a lot, I guess to be able, and you happen to have your phone there and it happens to be on and happens to be a situation where you could shout through the window and it will hear you. I think no, it's not that useful. The other thing they didn't mention, and you may remember for the last few years, Samsung's done ads mocking Apple. First, they mocked him for the notch, right? They showed the family that had the notch haircuts. The Apple fanboys, they showed the notch. And then they, by the way, then Samsung put a hole punch in their screen, and so they stopped knocking the notch because it's like, well, you're doing it too, sort of, even worse maybe. Now, by the way, the hole punch, which is a lozenge on the S10, on the Note 10, is just a dot. It's just a hole in the middle. So that's good, I guess. I don't know. They're still doing that. The other thing they mocked for a long time, they mocked Apple for, is the courage. Apple had courage to get rid of the headphone jack. Remember that? They said, Apple's chief of marketing came on stage and said, this took a lot of courage. We got rid of the headphone jack. Courage, stupidity, I don't know. It's only the most used port on a phone, right? Samsung had ads mocking it, and now they took theirs away. They don't have a headphone jack on the new Note 10 either, which disappoints me. I like a good headphone jack. I can appreciate a good headphone jack, but they just took it away. They said it gives us room for a bigger battery. Guess they have the courage to copy Apple. But otherwise, I think the Note 10 is going to be a nice phone. Yes, I ordered one. Of course, I had to. I ordered one with the shimmery back. The shimmery back. I had the courage to get a shimmery. You know what takes courage? I'll tell you what takes courage. Not having a case for your $1,200 Note 10. That takes courage. They also announced for $100 more for the Note 10 and then $200 more for the Note 10 Plus 5G capability. Okay, I'm just going to give you a tip. Don't. Unless you live like next door to a 5G tower, and you don't, I can pretty much guarantee you, you're not going to get 5G. You're not going to get it this year. You're not going to get it next year. You'll probably have a new phone before you're going to ever need 5G. And current generation 5G radios drain the battery fast. You're not going to want 5G. You're going to say, well, it's fast, but what do I need so fast for? I'm not downloading, I don't know, what would you download? You don't even have that much storage on your phone. What are you going to download that you need 5G for? No, you don't. And we don't know what they're going to charge, but it's going to be really expensive, I think. So don't get a 5G phone. Don't spend $200 on a 5G phone that you can't use. That'd be silly. They're offering Apple. Everybody's going to offer it in the next few years just because you have to. But the 5G thing that's going on is pretty much hype from the phone companies, at least right now. I'll let you know. I'll say, okay, it's time. But that's a few years off. All right. monologuing. Let's go to the phones. Kim Schaffer's here. She's going to answer the calls. You give us a ring, 8888 Ask Leo. That is my phone number. I would love to hear from you. And we could talk high tech, you and me. 8888 Ask Leo, musical director. Pee-wee, Big Pee-wee's back from the Taste of Inglewood. He tells me it tasted pretty darn good. So we get some good music today. Stay tuned. Unbreakable, Kim Schaffer. Kimmy don't take no Schaffer. Hello, Kimmy Schaffer.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend.
Happy weekend.
Happy weekend. How was your week?
Good.
Good.
I went to the fair yesterday.
Oh, didn't you go to the fair?
I went to the Marin County Fair, and I went to the Sonoma County Fair. You got to give them
We're
equal
lucky.
time.
We
get a lot of them. You get the Petaluma Fair.
We have three county fairs.
And then if you go just over a piece, you've got the one over in
You got Taste of Inglewood.
Oh, okay. That's kind of far.
Yeah, a little
for
too
us,
far. But I would have
it
gone
is.
to see Big Pee-wee. That would have been fun.
Yeah, I want to meet Big Pee-wee. He's got to come up here sometime.
I know. He was DJing at the Taste of Inglewood, emceeing. So you've been answering the phones, taking the calls, getting the people ready, combing back their hair, making sure they have a powder on their nose. Who should I take first?
How about Howard in Tarzana, California, has some accessibility questions for...
Is Tarzan? I'm going to ask Howard this.
I don't know where it is.
Is it named after Tarzan? I think it is. No, I'm not kidding.
Is it really?
Well, let me see.
Tarzan.
Hi, Howard. Is it named after Tarzan?
I believe it is.
I think you're right.
Or the author. Burroughs.
Did Edgar Rice Burroughs live in Tarzana?
That's it. That's it.
Fascinating. There's a fun fact.
Anyway, so I have a question. My wife has very severe neuropathy in her fingers.
Ow.
And she has it's bad. She has the iPhone 8. Is there any way where she doesn't have to touch it and she can go on stuff? Any kind of something we could hook up or?
Yeah, so iPhone has very good accessibility. So those are the features that are built in for people who have various disabilities, including your fingers hurt. That's a really interesting question. I don't know how much you could do touchless. There's a voiceover, which is generally used by blind people because it speaks the things to you. But I wonder if you could speak back to it and say, click that one or click that one. Siri does, you could do some stuff with Siri. This is where, believe it or not, Bixby, which I was just slandering, Samsung's voice assistant, is actually better at. Because you might look at a Samsung phone, because Siri's kind of a generalized voice assistant. Bixby is more operating the phone with voice. So open this app, go to this part of this app, but it doesn't work with every app. You got me. I'm not sure, but what you might want to do, Howard, is go into the settings on the iPhone, and in the settings in general, there's accessibility, and there's a lot of because everybody has different disabilities. There's a lot of, in fact, I use some of the settings because, I want to see bigger type and zoom in the screen and stuff like that. So I use a lot of these settings myself. They're very handy. My hearing aids work with them. So it's general accessibility. There's voiceover. There's zoom, magnifier, display.
Okay.
Speech, speak selection, speak screen. Yeah, I think it's more like speaking to you. Yeah, I don't see anything like to command it, would that be really nice?
It would be.
There are some touch accommodations for people who have issues with touch. And there's something called Assistive Touch, which will make it a little easier for her. Can she use her fingers at all, or does she really not want to touch it at all?
When I touch the phone, it literally feels like an electric current.
Yikes.
I can't pick it up.
Yikes.
I can't type.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Is this something new? I'm so sorry. What a drag.
Yeah, maybe because I know I was on hold with Apple. They have an accessibility department.
Yeah, that's a great place to call, and I would call them, and they may be even stuff that's not in the settings that's there.
Oh, okay.
And let me know if you do find something, Howard. Let me know because that's a useful thing. And it's not just neuropathy. If you had arthritis and you couldn't really articulate your fingers, or there's lots of reasons.
Yeah, what if the soldier came home, God forbid, from
No
the war?
hands, right.
Right?
Right.
So if you hear anything, would you let me know? Do you have my number?
I will.
You get it?
I will.
Oh, you really?
I'll say it on the radio.
Hang on. How about Alexis with the TV? Like if we went on Facebook.
Yeah, that you can do. Now, in fact, the best way to do Alexa with the TV, so she doesn't have to use the remote at all. Amazon makes it's called the Fire TV Cube. It's not very expensive. It has Amazon.
I have the Cube and the stick.
Oh, the Cube takes echo commands and does things like turn on TV, go to channel 8.
Yeah.
Turn up the volume, turn down the volume. I think pretty much everything you do with a remote. So I don't know if she's played with the Cube at all, but that should take care of that.
Well, I wonder if she can go like on Facebook and message.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Could she surf the internet?
Yeah. Okay, great. But
I think you should look into what Siri can do, and especially, and you could help her with this, Howard, Siri Shortcuts. So a lot of apps have built-in Siri Shortcuts. You should look into this. You'll need iOS 12, so that means you need a fairly new iPhone, last few years. But what it lets you do is attach verbal cues to various functions in the app. So you could have, I don't know, I'm giving an example. I'm not sure Instagram does this. It depends on the app. But you could perhaps say, hey, you know who, open Instagram and post a picture and things like that. Post this picture on Instagram, things like that. And I think that might help her a lot. So look at Siri Shortcuts. And this is actually a very flexible feature Apple's built into the latest version of iOS. Okay. Yeah. So look at Shortcuts, which is an app. You'll have to download it. It's free from Apple. And you can create your own extensive shortcuts. And then each shortcut can have a Siri command attached to it. So you could, for instance, she could be looking at a photo in her photo album, and she could say, hey, Shlomo, add a frame to this picture, add the comment, aren't these guys cute, and put it on Instagram or put it on Facebook. And you could do all of that using shortcuts. So it would help. You need to help her because you need to set up those shortcuts ahead of time. Yeah. But the beauty of that is that she could say, hey, here's the 5 things, Howard, I really want to do.
Okay.
I think that's, now that I think about it, Siri Shortcuts is going to be your key.
Well, you know something, and I think you and I are onto something. I mean, how many people there, how many soldiers, people disabled?
Absolutely. So and why should you be left out? Why should you be left out from this smartphone revolution?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think, we put man on the moon 50 years ago. They should be able to.
Well, look at Siri Shortcuts because, what I'm looking at with Siri, you can actually see this in the settings as well under Siri and search. As you use your phone, it starts suggesting things. So I have Siri just suggested, you could ask me about the UV index. So here's a search you just did in your email package. You could make that a shortcut. So I have quite a few Siri shortcuts. I even have one that I downloaded, which I never use, called It's the Popo. If you get stopped by the police, there's a whole action somebody put up that turns the phone down, starts recording, turns the screen off. If I go, hey Siri, it's the Popo, she's gonna do it, man. Oh, here she goes. Leo Laporte. Oh boy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Holy cow. So, see, it's starting a recording. It dimmed the screen, so the Popo can't see the screen. And it records, and then I don't know I think it's going to send it somewhere. I could be in trouble. Let's see. That music means it's time for no apparent reason. It's time for our home theater geek, Mr. Scott Wilkinson at techhive.com. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
I'm very interested in these headphones that you reviewed.
Oh, man. These were really interesting. It's a pair of headphones, Bluetooth headphones, over-the-ear headphones, with active noise cancellation. Nothing particularly unusual in that.
I mean, Bose has been doing that for years.
Yeah, exactly.
JBLs, there's a lot of them.
A lot of them out there.
Audio-Technica, yeah.
This one from a company called Audera, Audeara.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like audible, hearing. It's a nice, interesting little name. Anyway, it comes with an app. You download an app to your iPhone or Android phone, and it actually gives you a hearing test.
I love this. Now, my Samsung does this, has done this for years, and I really like this because
Really?
it optimizes the curve. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's what this does. It takes it gives you a choice of 3 different tests, 3 different resolutions or granularity, if you will. And basically you set the level at which you can barely hear 100 hertz, 250 hertz, 500 hertz, 1,000, all the way up to 16K.
Right.
And you do that with your left ear and then your right ear.
It's just like going to an audiologist, right? They play the tones.
Well,
boop,
yes,
boop,
exactly.
Boop, boop,
Yep,
beep,
yep.
beep, beep.
Yep. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And then there's
now
this is good because there's a button that says can hear, can't hear, and then barely audible, which I like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So if you can hear it, you hit the can hear button, and it reduces the volume of that particular tone.
Right.
And you keep doing that until you can't hear it, and then you hit the can't hear button, and you get it up to where you just barely hear it, and then you hit the barely audible button, and it moves on to the next frequency. That's what it does. So
This is a nice feature. This is one reason why I stick with Samsung phones. It's hidden. You could no one's ever. I tell people this and they go, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "No, it's in sounds, way down at the bottom, advanced sound settings. They let you, and then under sound quality, adapt sound, and they let you.
That's amazing.
No one knows about this. Yeah,
I didn't know about it.
Yeah, they have some defaults. Which is under 30 years old. In other words, teenager, 30 to 60 years old, over 60 years old. But then I can, and when I've done this with every headset that I use with this, so I have Galaxy Buds and my Etymotics, you can actually go through the sound test. First, you have to connect the headphones, obviously. But you can go through the sound test, and it does that. It goes boop, 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 beep, 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 boop, boop, boop. And you tap the screen, and then once it's done, you get a curve.
Yep.
And
you
the
get an EQ curve.
Yeah, and in fact, they have a really nice feature where you can play back the sound with or without the adapt sound.
Yes, wow. My wife has a Samsung phone. I'm an iPhone guy, but my wife has a Samsung phone. I'm going to go look for this.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. I find it very interesting and very encouraging that people might be starting to think more about their hearing profile and how to get better sound.
You know why. We baby boomers are spending money. And we're getting old, right?
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
And in our youth, we spent a lot of time in very loud rock concerts, did we not?
Yeah. CBGB's ruined my hearing.
Yeah. Exactly. So, Audira makes the point, and I think it's a good point, that if you apply an EQ curve to what you're listening to that corresponds to your hearing deficits, basically where you're not hearing as well, what frequencies you're not hearing as well, you can hear the music better without having to turn it up.
It's better for you because, you won't turn up the volume to hear those things you can't hear as well.
Exactly.
And overdrive the stuff you hear too well. No, I think this is exactly the right way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, the name of these is confusing. Is it Oi?
What? Oh, no. That's the font of the headline of Tech Hive. It's A01.
A01.
Yeah.
I like Oi.
Oi.
Oi. And how much are these Audira A01s?
A01s, they're not cheap. They're almost $300.
Well, you know what? Good headphones are that expensive, I think.
Exactly. Now, these are pretty good. I actually thought they sounded better with the noise canceling on than off. I found that with other headphones as well. Interestingly, my reference in this category is the PSB M4U8. Odd model number, I know, but it's an active noise canceling over-ear Bluetooth headphone by PSB, one of the best speaker and headphone companies in the world. And they sound phenomenal, really good. They don't have this EQ feature. That is, unless you use them with the Samsung phone.
Yeah, but see, you can have the phone do it. I don't know why other phones haven't taken this up.
I don't either.
This.
Apple should, in particular, particularly their. You were talking earlier about accessibility.
Well, the funny thing is, my Apple iPhone works much better with my hearing aids than the Samsung phone. So it's kind of I'm torn.
Many hearing aids are quote unquote made for iPhone.
Exactly. And honestly, your hearing aids are EQ'd by your audiologist in the same way.
Correct. correct.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, the audiogram, the result that I got from this Audira app was it certainly followed the basic contours of my professional audiogram, which I had done only a few months ago. So this was a really good time to compare them. You know, I mean, I had a professional one done in the sound booth, sound isolation booth, and they
and you raise your hand, your left hand, your right hand.
Or you hit a button when you can't.
Oh yeah, that's right. He gave me a little trigger. That's right. Yeah,
it gives you a little trigger, right? Yeah. Exactly. And so this audiogram that I took here, which is admittedly unscientific. I mean, you're supposed to do it in a quiet environment, and I did, but it's not the same as a sound isolation booth at your audiologist's office. But
on the other hand, it's more like how you would listen to headphones. You don't listen in a sound isolation booth.
Exactly.
So actually, I've set it so you could even, and I did do this, like I'm in the car now, let me do the settings just to see, adjust it for driving.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about the later Samsungs, they didn't do this at first, but the later ones let you have multiple profiles.
This Audira headphone app does.
You can do that too? That's nice.
You can do multiple profiles. You can have multiple users and multiple profiles with it. So I'm the only user so far, and I had, 4 or 5 profiles. I even did a profile where I didn't change anything. Everything was completely flat. I mean, it's not exactly how I hear, but I just wanted to hear what it did.
Right.
And I would think it would do nothing, but it did. And the other part of this app is you can select, I don't want any effect from this adjustment, or I want 25%, 50, 75%, or 100%. 50% generally sounded best to me. 100% was like buzzsaw territory. It was like this highs were like, yeah, it was
you don't want it to hurt.
No.
So exactly. I'm looking. What's interesting is the profiles I have, and I have 2. The one I have for the Galaxy Buds, which are those in-ear, but they don't go in deep. They don't seal quite as well.
They're earbuds, not in-ear.
It doesn't adjust the bass at all. It says my bass hearing's fine. It's only the high end. But if I'm sorry, it's the other way around. On the Galaxy Buds, it has to adjust the bass.
Oh.
So the high end is the same. But when I use my Etymotics, which are sealing in ears, the bass is fine.
Yep.
But it does adjust the same. The high end is subpar.
Wow,
because I'm older, right? That's what you'd expect.
Exactly. As we age, we lose our high end. There's no way around it. Even if we didn't go to rock concerts.
Right. Right. It's really. I think this is brilliant. I would like
have to look at that Samsung. I'm definitely going to look at that.
I'd love to see more phones do this, but also more headphones.
Yeah.
Read Scott's review of the Audira AO1 headphones at techhive.com. And, of course, Scott joins us every week right here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We have our newest studio engineer is a famous rock drummer. And I have to ask him how his drumming has affected his...
oh, man.
Can you imagine? Backyard's looking great, Rob.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Let me give you the con here. And
okay, thank you.
I will...
wow, yeah, rock drummers. Now, those at a certain level would always be wearing custom-molded in-ear monitors.
I suspect that Jeff did, but I don't know. I'll have to ask him.
You'll have to ask him, because if you do, then you have some protection, as long as the mix engineer doesn't blast you.
Right.
I've always been a little scared of that myself.
Yeah.
But
you're subject to their whims.
Exactly.
And always be nice to the sound man.
Yes. Especially the mix engine, the monitor engine.
They can mess with you. Something awful.
Seriously.
Let's get you a screen here.
Clever fella says, my drummer's cymbals hurt my hearing. Yes, well, if you're a bass player or a guitarist or whatever and you're near the drummer.
That's what made me think of it.
That's a bad thing.
That's what made me think of it. Okay, there we go. Timer for you.
Let's see. Preternat, good name. With all the fine tuning, it doesn't seem to receive high-def Bluetooth. I think that's true. It does do aptX, and they said they are going to add aptX HD to a future firmware update. So they're working on it. But still in all, I heard a big difference between 0% and 50% and another big difference between 50% and 100%. I found myself preferring 50% application or strength, if you will, to with the active noise canceling turned on. With that combination, they sounded pretty darn good. And now putting on interestingly, the main power for the headphones, which powers Bluetooth and powers this EQ DSP, is a separate switch from the active noise canceling. And so you can use either ones independently, which is interesting, and that affects the battery life. But Audira says, and I haven't actually run it down, but it says if you have both of those things on, you're still going to get 35 hours of battery life. It's 1,000 milliamp hour battery. So that's a long time on one charge at, I guess, probably 50% volume, I would guess. Oh, Preternat says Apdex HD requires vendor to pay an extra licensing fee. Oh, man. Oh, they always try to get you, don't they? So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But I bet Audira is probably going to do it. I mean, they said they're working on it, so they are probably going to do it. Those headphones at $300, $299.99, that's a little bit on the expensive side, I think. Not terrible. The PSBs are $400, so they're another $100 more than that. So $300. The Bose noise cancelers are like $350, I think. I haven't looked lately, but that's what they used to be, and I would be surprised if they went down. So, $300, maybe not so bad. But this whole idea of testing your hearing and adjusting the sound according to your own particular hearing profile, and in particular your deficits, I think is a great idea. I can't wait to look at my wife's Samsung phone and check that out.
Oh, I hope if it's a recent one, it'll be in there, but you have to dig for it.
Where is it? Down near the bottom?
Yeah, it's really. I'll show you.
Show me at the.
You gonna stay at the top?
Yeah.
Okay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. This is a Samsung Galaxy S10. I think this is the Samsung's best kept secret. I've never seen them mention it or anything. And if it weren't for me, I like, when I get a new phone, the first thing, do you do this? Maybe it's just me, but the first thing I do is just go to the settings and dig through them, because I think it's a good way to learn what your phone could do. And I was in the sounds settings, and they've got, ringtones and vibration patterns, all the usual stuff. But I then saw advanced sound settings. Oh, I wonder what that is. Customize your sound effects and settings. So you wouldn't even know looking at that. Sound effects, who cares, right? But if you go into that, you could turn on Dolby Atmos, which, by the way, on a phone is meaningless. I don't even know why they call it Dolby Atmos. And Dolby Atmos for gaming. Like, what? I think Dolby makes money on that one. But way down at the bottom of that, sound quality and effects, is this thing called Adapt Sound. It's on the last few Samsung Galaxy S's and the Notes. I don't remember when it started. But I think this is a really nice feature. So if you use headphones, whether you use wireless or wired, in fact, especially if you use wireless, or you use them in a noisy environment, the ability to customize it's basically equalization, but it does it by testing you. And it only takes a couple of minutes to do the testing. It's not too elaborate. Next time Scott's on, though, I want to ask him, there have been headphones that claim to do the testing automatically. Just put these in your ear, press a button, and it somehow maps your ear chamber or something. I find that hard to believe. Does that really work? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. On to the calls we go. Line 2, Stephen in San Antonio. Hello, Stephen. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Oh, that would be me.
That would be you, my friend. Welcome.
Okay. First of all, I want to brag because I was one of the 250 people that got the Aeropex from Aftershock.
Oh, I didn't know it was such a limited supply.
Well, they said the first 250 would get a dry bag and.
Oh, nice. So
I didn't realize it until I got it.
These guys are sponsors, So I should mention that as a disclaimer from they sponsor some of our podcasts. But I really like these headphones. They don't go in your ear. They go over your ear, and they use your cheekbone. They're bone conductive. And you and I are probably old enough to remember in the back pages of the Rolling Stone in the 70s, they had this thing called the bone phone. Does that ring a bell? It would go.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, remember this? It would go around your neck. It was like a little scarf. And it claimed bone conductance, and it sounded really good. And I spent a lot of money on a pair of bone phones, and those didn't work at all. But so I was really skeptical. Say again?
It reminded me back in World War II when they had the mics on their necks.
Yeah, that's right. On the throat mic, right?
Yeah.
And pilots still do that, I think, sometimes. But yeah, these did not work. But the what do they call aftershocks really do. And the sound is surprisingly good. And you got the new ones, which are, I guess, waterproof, right? Do you swim?
30 minutes in 1 meter of water.
Nice.
So anyway, my question is, listening to you, I get all these questions in my head. So anyway.
Me too. What am I doing? Why am I here?
The password.
Go ahead.
The password savers.
Yes.
Okay. What happens if I lose that or they go out of business?
You're in trouble.
And I don't. Yeah.
So I'll tell you what to do. So first of all, everybody should use these. Passwords are out of control. No one can remember all the passwords that you have to keep track of for websites, for apps. It's just crazy. I have hundreds. And the problem with that is your temptation is to just reuse the same password, right? That's a bad idea because of all the breaches that have been happening lately. If they get the password for one site, the first thing they do is go try all the rest of them, and they can get in everything. So you're supposed to, security experts say, and I would encourage you to, use unique passwords for every site. That means completely impossible to remember them. And worse than that, these shouldn't be memorable passwords. They should be truly random, long, strong, random passwords, as long as the site will let you do. So, and in some cases, that's 50 or 60 letters. And it's alphabetic, upper and lower case. It's numbers, it's punctuation. It's all mixed up. You look at it, you go, I can't remember that. Good. If you can't remember it, it's a lot harder for a hacker to crack it. But so that means you have to have a password vault. The vault will generate these and then store them. But you're absolutely right. The negative on a password vault, and it's such a small negative compared to the negative of using the same password over and over, or using your dog's middle initials and your birth date and your foot size, that it's worth it. But there is a potential downside, which is it's a single point of failure. This is where everything is. So there's two potential problems. One, if the company, you're trusting this company to really lock this thing down, to encrypt it, to only you should be able to see it. You should use a long master password. That's the one password you'll memorize. And it's got to be good. It can't be your dog's birth date. It should be a really long, strong one. And in fact, use two-factor as well. It makes it even harder. So that's a single point of failure is if somebody broke into their web servers, then you'd better be well protected with a good, long, strong password. The other potential point of failure is what you described. What if they go out of business? Or what if you forget the password? So what I would suggest doing if you use a password vault is make a backup. And every password vault will let you export the passwords and I would do this periodically, just like you back up your hard drive. Export the passwords to an unencrypted text file. Now, the important thing on this is you got to put this somewhere really safe, or maybe even encrypt it somehow separately, or put it on a USB key which you lock in your safe, something, so that it's not accessible to. Don't keep it on a computer that's online, for instance, because if that computer gets compromised, then all your passwords are sitting there in clear text. But I think it's not a bad idea to, and I do this periodically, export that password vault in a way that even if the company went out of business or you forgot your master password, you'd still have all those passwords. But you got to put that somewhere safe. Does that make sense?
Can I ask you one? Can I say, yeah, that does. No, it exactly answers my question. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I was watching earlier before you came on This Week in Windows, and I caught the end of it, and I like small phones, and I don't like big phones.
Oh, you're out of luck, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I have an SE, and I'm not going to get rid of it until I absolutely have to, because it's a small phone, and that's why I bought it. It doesn't bother me what company. I just want a small phone because to me, it's in my pocket and it's just a phone. It's not a computer. It's not anything I use when I'm on the road. It's just a phone.
Yeah. And honestly, of course, that makes perfect sense. But you see that times have moved past you. For most of us, this isn't a phone. It's a computer that just happens to make phone calls. And I'm
a baby boomer.
Yeah, well, me too. And our desktop computers are, for now, you can make phone calls from any computing device nowadays. So I think that's why these things are getting bigger and bigger screens. They're seen more as computers. But the good news is Apple's going to stop it. They're not going to continue to sell, I don't think. The smallest phone they sell is the one you have. That's the 5-inch SE, which is basically an iPhone 5. I don't anticipate Apple selling anything less than 5 or 6 inches again. But there are plenty of companies. Even Samsung has smaller phones. Nokia has smaller phones. If all you want is a phone, you probably shouldn't even get a smartphone. Just get a basic phone, what we call a feature phone. What I would call a dumb phone, but the companies that make them don't like that. So feature phone. That means it has none. So, you'll always be able to get a smaller phone if that's the primary function. But understand, most of these companies are making computers now, pocket computers, that happen to be able to make phone calls. And if you think about how the youngs use it, my kids don't make phone calls anymore. What do they? No, they text, they Instagram, they Snapchat. They don't phone anybody, right? No phone calls, no. Who wants to be on the phone when you can take pictures of your lunch instead? All right?
Okay, thank
Great
you
to talk
so
to you.
much.
Take care.
Have a great day.
You too. All right, Scotty, it's all yours.
Thank you.
I'm going to go caffeinate.
Go caffeinate. So, hey, everybody. So nice to see you. Keith43 and I have been chatting here in the chat room. He brings up a good point. He or she, I assume he, that wondering about whether or not $4 earbuds and $2,000 earbuds, if they have the same specs, wouldn't they sound the same? Well, first of all, I was chatting around about how I don't think I've ever heard of any $2,000 earbuds. And I wanted to make clear the distinction between earbuds and in-ear monitors, or IEMs. In-ear monitors are designed to actually extend into your ear canal a bit and seal it. So the choice of ear tip, that is the little flexible thing that actually sticks into your ear canal, has to be the right size and the right flexibility and a bunch of other stuff to actually seal your eardrum, your ear canal, so that the only sound getting in there is from the earbuds. Now, they're not perfect, but you want to isolate the outer world as much as possible. By contrast, earbuds are little tiny speakers that just sit at the entrance to your ear canal but do not seal it. As a result, I find that earbuds never sound as good, no matter how much they cost. Now, I've never heard of $2,000 earbuds, or I suppose I could find $2,000 in-ear monitors. Certainly, you could find professional ones at that level. But earbuds, no. But the other question that Key43 brings up, and rightly so, is, hey, if the specs are the same, shouldn't it sound the same? And the answer is no. Why not? Well, because manufacturer specs should be taken with a big old pound of salt. Manufacturers make specs to look as good as possible. And they test their equipment under the most ideal conditions possible, usually very unrealistic conditions. So you can't really trust their specs. And even if you could, so if you have a frequency response from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz, which is the typical range of human hearing that's specified, Very often I see specs that say 20 to 20K, but they don't give you what's called a tolerance. So they don't say at the end plus or minus 1 dB or plus or minus 3 dB. And this is critical because if you can reproduce 20 to 20K, okay, that's fine. But what if the curve between those two extremes fluctuates up and down quite a bit? And if it does, they very well may not want to say plus or minus so many dB, because if it's plus or minus 6 dB or 10 dB, that would sound terrible. So, of course, they wouldn't say that, most manufacturers. They would simply not include a tolerance spec. So when you're looking at specs, frequency response specs, for example, the tolerance spec is an important one. Keith 43 also mentioned ohms, the input impedance. Well, with Bluetooth headphones, it doesn't matter because they're amplified. You have an amplifier inside the speaker, inside the ear cups, and each one. And so the Bluetooth signal comes in, and the impedance doesn't matter. But most, virtually all that I've tried anyway, headphones, wireless headphones, Bluetooth headphones, do have a 3.5 millimeter input jack, and you can connect with a cord. And in that case, the input impedance does matter. Now, if you're buying a Bluetooth headphone, how often are you going to be connecting it with a cable? Not very often, especially since, as Leo pointed out earlier today, I think he did. I've been reading about it lately anyway. Headphone jacks are disappearing from phones and other portable devices. So there's less and less of a need for this input jack. Now, most headphone providers put it in anyway, and I applaud them for it. I think it's a good idea. But anyway, that's the only time the impedance matters. And now here's a little thing about impedance that you might not know, is it does not remain constant over the frequency range. Different frequencies will encounter different impedances. That's certainly true of speakers and of headphones. And so how the impedance varies over frequency will also affect the sound quality. So even though you might have two headphones that say they're both 32 ohm impedance or 24 ohm impedance, how do they vary? Oh, that's nominal. That's probably the average or the most common or the nominal impedance. But how does it vary over the frequencies? And that will affect the sound as well. So there are... Am I out of sync again? Wow, I am. Look at that. Sorry, M. Heiss, Mike, and everybody else. I don't know why. I did not run Chrome today at all. In fact, I just restarted my computer before coming on the air. And I did not run Chrome. So I don't know what the hell is going on here. So we do have more work to do, Lawn Dog. Yes, that's true. And I really don't know. Yes, Snowdrops too. A tanker of salt. A few tons of salt. Mike. Oh, yeah. Mike says when he was at Harman, they made a limited edition $1,000 AKG in-ear. I assume it's an in-ear monitor. It's a sealed in-ear monitor, not an earbud. Right, Mike? Now, the sealing effect, the seal effect, Snowdrops 2 says doesn't like it. And it does feel weird. It feels like you're isolated from the world. And that can feel very strange. But once you get the music going, that quickly disappears. I mean, the weird feeling about being isolated from the world. When you're listening to music, you want to be isolated from the world, don't you? I do. I want to hear the music. I want to listen to the music. I don't want to listen to the music while I hear the neighbor's dog barking next door or something else. So you're right. It's a weird effect. But once you start listening to music, I find it doesn't manage. Snowdrops, let's see. I'm kind of going backwards here. Let me just see. Where am I going here? One thing about reviewing TVs, that's a Lawn Dog. Okay, we're going on a different topic here, and I only have a minute left. One thing about reviewing TVs is one piece of information about the power the TV consumes, both running and, of course, off, but running is most important. I have to hunt and hunt and hunt to find that very important piece of information. Good point. I know Tom Norton, my colleague who's at Sound and Vision, does measure power consumption. You need a WhatsApp or some device like that to measure the power consumption. And the power consumption does change over time, depending on what's on the screen. So a dark... That's it.
Scott, bless you. Without
you.
I would get no coffee. I'm sorry. By the way, what?
I won't be here next week.
I hate you. What am I going to do for coffee? All right. Have a great time. Going to Santa Cruz or?
Actually, no. Believe it or not, going out to the desert.
Have fun.
Thanks.
See you in 2.
You bet.
Bye. Well, hey. How are you today? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Are you looking over your shoulder? Who's that? What's that? Oh, I'm the nerd on the radio where we talk about computers and the internet and home theater, digital photography. We talk about smartphones. We talk about the Note. We talk about smart watches. Actually, Samsung, had their big Note event, and I talked about the Note 10, but I didn't mention they have a new watch, Samsung Active, which looks pretty sweet. I'll probably pick up one of those. They have a new notebook, a new Windows notebook, which is super thin. Not really light, 2.11 pounds. So it's a little heavier than, say, a MacBook Air, but it looks a lot like a MacBook Air. What else did they announce? They did not mention, they announced it last year, a year ago, their Samsung speaker. It looks like a witch's cauldron. It has 3 legs. Remember that? It's kind of funny. These companies, Apple did the same thing with their power mat, whatever they're called, that charger. These companies now, for some reason, are announcing stuff a year ahead of it, and then I'm gathering, figured out, we're not going to make this. So they just stop. They don't say anything more about it. We're not going to make that. They didn't mention it at all. The witch's cauldron. 8888 ask Leo. Yeah, somebody in the chat room. Techdino saying, boil, toil and trouble. Yes. Bubble, toil and trouble. Line 3, Tom, Santa Barbara. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Leo. Good show.
Thank
for
you.
taking my call.
Welcome.
I have this ongoing problem with 4 iMacs in the house.
Well, that's no problem. That's wonderful.
Well, 3 of them are older than I am, and one of them is new.
Okay.
But they all get on Ethernet. I get the message back that I get a self-assigned address.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of exploring on the internet, and there's a ton of people with a very similar problem with the similar results of no result. Most of the suggestions people say didn't work for me. So
is it saying there's a conflict because of the self-assigned IP address?
It's not. The actual message, it acknowledges that it's connected. And it says Ethernet has a self-assigned IP address and will not be able to connect to the internet. And it's yellow, which apparently indicates that it's actually getting power, but it's not communicating with anything. Okay. And I've taken
But eventually you are able to get on the internet. That doesn't
Wi-Fi. Yeah, but
do you have something plugged into the Ethernet port? In other words, are you using wired internet?
I have both, and I prefer to use the wired internet. Of course
you do. Yeah. So what you're saying is the Ethernet part never works. The Wi-Fi does.
Correct, but the Wi-Fi works everywhere. I have the Google Mesh routers, and I have and all this is newer, well within 12 months, and that Surfboard modem.
So what you need to do, and I'm sure you've done this, but I'm just going to walk through it with you a little bit, is go to your network system preference pane.
Right.
On a couple of things I would do. First thing is you'll notice there's a list of different ways you can get network connectivity, including Ethernet and Wi-Fi. Make sure Ethernet's on the top. You can actually drag it up to the top. It goes through those in order, okay?
Okay.
And then the other thing to do is make sure that you're using DHCP, and there's a little setting.
Which it is.
That's the Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. That's what, in normal circumstances, would assign the IP address. And that's what a router does, right? A router, this all started in the old days. You had an internet connection and you had one lousy computer. So you'd connect it to your internet connection. You'd have the IP address your internet service provider gave you. That's your unique phone number on the internet. And that would work fine. But as soon as you want to put more than one device on that single phone number, everything gets confused. So you need what's called a router. And a router is basically a traffic manager. It sees incoming traffic. It says, yes, you go there, you go there, you go there. It's dispatching. And the other thing the router does is it makes sure that each device on that network has a unique local internet address. So your local addresses, there's two different variants. There's the 10 dot and the 192 dot range. You're probably a 192.1 dot something.
168 and
right,
like that one.
So what that means is you have that's your router has 192.1.1.1 and or something like that. Your router has the one address, and then it uses a subnet of addresses incrementing the last dotted quad bit by bit for each thing, and each one has to have a unique one. So problem one is if you did do a self-assigned IP address and you accidentally created a collision with another device, then the router would go, well, I don't know how to get this to you because you've got two devices with the same address. Each one has to be, just like phone numbers, unique.
Sure.
So, but if DHCP is working, then you don't have a self-signed address. The other time you can get a self-signed address, and this may be what's really happening, is if for some reason when you boot up the computer, the router isn't ready or doesn't do anything, or the computer doesn't see, and I think this is what's happening, doesn't see the Ethernet cable and gives you a self-assigned address. And that'll be a 192.168 dot something.
Right. The fact that four of them are doing it concurrently, if it was one computer.
All four say the same thing?
All four say the same thing, right. And it gives me an IP address that starts with the 169, which is
169 is can't get online. That's the one I meant. Yeah, not one. Yeah, 169 address means this is a self-assigned. Okay, so if all four are doing it, so the first thing to figure out, is it just that machine? Is it the cable? Is it the Ethernet port? It's not. All four are doing it. It's the router.
Right.
The router is the thing that's supposed to do this and isn't.
Even through the Ethernet. Now, I've taken the cable.
How are you connecting the Ethernet to the router?
From the modem.
Okay, that's the problem. So the modem is not doing DHCP. You have a router, right?
Yes, I have a modem and a router.
Yeah. So the modem has one address, the one your internet service provider gave you. It's connected via Ethernet to the router. Then the router is what says, oh, you're this address, this address, this address. All four of those IMACs must be connected to the router, not to the modem.
So I have a cable running from the router. My coax comes in to the back of the modem.
Right. The modem just demodulates the cable signal.
Okay.
It does not do any routing. It's the Ethernet cable coming off of that modem. If you plugged it into one of those iMacs, would be your internet address, your 72.1. Whatever. It would be what the ISP gave you. The reason you plug that, you don't plug it into a computer unless you only have one computer. That's what the router is deciding to do. Is it's sharing that single address with a subnet that all has individual addresses. So let me just make sure one more time the topology is right. So those four iMacs are not to be plugged into the modem. They're plugged into the router, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I have a switch in the garage. So the stuff comes from the one room in an office to a garage where there's a large switch.
So the switch, so the order of devices now should be cable modem to router to switch. Right?
Yeah, it should be. Let me check.
Yeah, I would check. Because if the switch is plugged, sometimes what people do, and I've seen them do it, and it's a bad thing to do, it won't work, you plug the switch into the modem, and that gives you multiple ports, and then one of those ports goes to the router, and the rest go to other computers. That might work sometimes, but it really shouldn't work at all. So make sure that the order is cable modem. I bet you that's what's going on. That you'd get exactly the symptom you're getting, and it would be intermittent. Cable modem to router. Only one connection into the router. That's coming from the cable modem. And then your router, if it has only one port, well, that should go to the switch, which has multiple ports. Everything else should be coming off of that. I bet you that's what's going on. But that's all the time I have to troubleshoot that. I appreciate it. I hope that helps. Hang on the line after we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we can maybe talk a little bit more about this, right? I think this one's all yours, Big Pee-wee. Take it away. Thank you. I'm just waiting for the magic music. And yeah, hang on the line a little bit. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds on this, Tom, but I think maybe we can track it down. All right, so you get what I'm saying on that?
Yeah, I'll chase it down. You know, what's interesting is nobody has touched anything back there, and it was working fine. So that's what is. But maybe it was screwed up and then caught up with itself.
Yeah. So look at that. That's most important, because you understand conceptually that the cable modem is giving you one address. The router is then creating a subnetwork of all of the addresses. That can go through a switch. So the switch goes into the router, goes into the cable modem, because then the switch... You can plug the switch. Basically, is like a hub on a wagon wheel. It's a little smarter than that, but the idea is it's going to distribute all. It can every device on that switch. But it's possible that maybe it is connected properly, and then your router's not doing DHCP properly, and you can go into your router and look at what attached devices there are. So your router will have a web-based interface.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the next step. So look at your router's web-based interface, and that's going to depend on the make. But you can Google the make and see what the IP address of the router is.
Yeah, I did. I found that somewhere.
And then you'll get a web page, and there'll be a login, admin, and a password. If that was changed, you'll have to remember it. Log into it, and then it'll show connected. You'll have to dig around, but it'll show connected devices. And each one will have a unique MAC address and a unique IP address, and you can make sure that that's doing that properly.
You know, and I have an app from Google when I put in that mesh system that it tells me I think that's the app that tells me what the different, it's like 9 devices.
Yeah, it's the Google thing is a router also. Is that? But you have another wired router too, right?
Well, the Google is.
So the modem goes into the Google Wi-Fi, which then has an extra port that goes to a switch.
Bingo.
Okay.
Yeah. But I will check the order of that wiring. So
make sure that make sure that that's right. What you don't want. And sometimes people get the Wi-Fi router afterwards and plug it into the switch.
Yeah. Well, let me make sure that wasn't that somebody in the house didn't do that. Everybody claims they did.
And make sure also that your cable modem. The other possibility, if your cable modem does routing, and this might be why this worked, is you're double natting. And in other words, you have 2 routers, the cable modem and the router. If that's the case, one of them should be set into bridge mode. Ideally, you'd turn off the cable modem routing if you can. Sometimes you can't. So that's another thing to check.
Okay, I will look at that. And let me have one other quick question. You've given me a lot of time, and I don't remember what my question was.
Next week. Yeah, actually, I would call me back, Tom, because I want to know what really happened. It's kind of you've set up a mystery for us. Thanks, Tom.
All right, thanks. Really appreciate the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo, the phone number. I'm sorry to that long networking conversation there. It's kind of funny. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, that would have been the bailiwick of the IT department, and that's all of that networking stuff. Is that a managed switch? You got a VLAN on that thing? Is you got a router? What's the IP address? All of that stuff would have been kind of the dark arts of the IT department. And then all of a sudden we get high-speed internet in our houses and multiple devices, and suddenly you are a network. You got to be a network guru. And then the next stage of insanity was Wi-Fi, which is great. Years ago on this show, we talk a lot about, well, if you're building a house, make sure you put conduit in the walls because you're going to need to wire every room. And that all went out the window because everybody's got Wi-Fi. You don't have to wire anything. But then Wi-Fi is complicated. And then your neighbor got Wi-Fi and started interfering with your Wi-Fi. And in many areas, unless you live in the countryside, you can look at your Wi-Fi signal and there's 30 other Wi-Fi access points there. And then the next level of complexity, we all started putting Amazon Echoes and microwave ovens with internet connections online, and suddenly you got 60 or 70 devices on your home network. And you're not an IT guru. You're just trying to get this stuff working. I just wanted to work. 88.8, I don't know. How did this happen? I think that's one of the reasons these mesh systems like the Google Wi-Fi he has, or Eero, or Plume, or Orbi, or Velop, there's a bunch of them now. I think that's why they emerged, because there needed to be a better way to do it, really, in your home. And these mesh systems are better at handling all those devices. Chip in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Hi, Chip.
Hi, Leo. Hi, I got the black screen of death because I updated Windows 10.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's not funny. I mean, nothing works on the desktop.
I'm not mocking you. I'm not making a joke out of it. When you say black screen of death, is it completely black or what?
It has the like a strip of the Windows logo, but it does nothing. If you put your cursor there, it just has a circle spin.
Oh, okay. So it got stuck. It got stuck in booting, is what happened.
Yeah. And it just switches back and forth between the blue screen of death, which is
yeah. No, it's. I understand. So a couple of things happen. First of all, it's amazing that it works at all. We're updating operating systems as they're running. It's a little bit like changing the engine on a jet airplane in flight, right? I mean, it's amazing that it works, but it does most of the time, but it doesn't all the time. So problem one could be during the update something went wrong. More likely, though, and this is unfortunately common, your hard drive could have had a problem during this time. I mean, a lot of disk writes are happening, and hard drives are not perfect. And all it takes is literally one bit in a crucial sector to be off, and you're going to get what you got, which is Windows is trying to load System 32 DLL or something, and then there's a bit off, and it goes, I don't know what to do now. So this happened, you're saying it happened during the update?
Let's see what happened. Let's see, update, and then I think it turned the machine off. It turned it back on, restarted, and it just.
So that's what Windows is trying to do. It says, okay, well, I'm going to download the files, and then I can't do it while the machine's on. So I'm going to shut down the machine, and then when it's coming back on, I'm going to try to fix these files, and then it's going to hopefully boot. And if it doesn't, well, you can call Leo. So it's hard to say what went wrong. It's clear something went wrong. A couple of things you can do. It sounds like you can't get into Windows at all.
No, I can't even get into safe mode.
Oh, you can't get into safe mode even? Okay.
No, I tried Control-Alt-Delete, nothing. I turned it back on, off 3 times, like what the forum suggested.
Yeah.
All it does is turn it on and off.
Yeah. So, and again, that doesn't necessarily, it means something got corrupted, whether because the hard drive is starting to fail or because something went wrong, a cosmic ray. We're being bombarded constantly by high energy particles from the sun. You knew that, right? If one of them hits the wrong place in your hard drive, you can actually lose data. So I can't tell you it was a cosmic ray. I can't tell you what it is. At this point, you should go through all the ways to get into recovery mode, and certainly, safe mode's the first one. And you tried that, but if you can't get that working, then the next thing you can do, if you can get to another computer, is download a ISO, put it on a USB of Windows and the installer. And so Microsoft offers that for free. If you search for the Media Creation Tool at Microsoft.com, you'll find it. You do need a USB key, I think 8 gigs. And obviously you need a working computer. Do you have another one you can use?
I'm going to have to go to my friend. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, go to your friend. Yeah, call him before you come over. Say, could you just go to Google Windows Media Creation Tool, Make sure he's getting it from Microsoft.com. It'll say what version. Your Windows 10, I presume, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. It'll say what version.
8 switched to 10.
Yeah. 8 switched to 10 because 7, 8, 9. And no, I'm sorry, that's confusing. And then get the disk or the USB key. You have to boot into it. Sometimes it means going into setup on your system and saying what the boot order is. Boot onto the USB key. And there's a recovery mode in there. So the first thing to try is you'll get the Windows installer running and try the recovery mode, which will then write all the critical files, including perhaps the one that's damaged. And maybe that's enough to get it going. If it isn't, you may have to wipe the drive and reinstall. You'll want to back up your data, obviously, before you do that. And it's possible. How old is the computer?
It's less than 2 years.
Really? Came with Windows 8?
Yeah, it was in one of those mini computers that I got from Best Buy, and I tied it up to my big screen TV.
Oh, nice. So it was it's like a TV, a media center. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it could be the hard drive is kind of flaky in that too. But there's the steps you go through. Try Windows recovery first. Try reinstalling. So you don't have a lot of data. That's the good news, obviously. Try reinstalling Windows. If that doesn't work, you might be out of luck. I don't think you can even change the hard drive in that, can you?
I looked at it. I see a little silver hard drive in there.
Okay. So maybe you can. I don't. It's going to take a little bit of troubleshooting. But what happened to you? I'm sorry, but that is not completely impossible or unusual. And that's the time it would happen, is when you're really writing heavily to the disk during the update. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, Johnny Jet, travel guru, coming up. Our show today brought to you by hot cloud storage from Wasabi. Love Wasabi. Wasabi is low cost, high speed, fully secure storage that blows away the competition, including Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. And I'm going to say the names. I'm going to say the names because I know when you're looking at cloud storage, and maybe your company's moving to the cloud, many are. Those are the names that come up. Amazon, Google, Microsoft. Those are the big three. I just want you to add one more name to the list. One more name, and I'll give you the selling points you can tell the boss. First of all, as we know, everybody's moving to the cloud. 80% of enterprises will have shut down their traditional data centers by the year 2025. In the next 5 years, it's going to go from 10% to 80%. Massive migration to the cloud. And the trick is to do it efficiently, to do it affordably, and maybe even most importantly in this day and age of ransomware and data breaches, securely. I would make the argument that Wasabi is more secure than even your own on-premises storage because Wasabi does everything right. First of all, in terms of efficiency and speed and price, it was created by David Friend and Jeff Flowers, old friends of mine. They patented a technique some years ago, writing to hard drives sequentially instead of blocks. That's how Carbonite was started. They were the founders of Carbonite. And that's how I know them. I mean, these guys really came up with a brilliant solution. They patented it. They own it. And it is so much more efficient that it means they're going to offer you enterprise-grade cloud storage 80% cheaper, 1/5 the cost of S3, and 6 times faster. And 6 times faster at 1/5 the cost, and with 11 nines durability. That's the best you can get. They even have features I think no one else offers. They have data integrity checking to make sure that no data is modified or changed. You can, and in the day of ransomware, this is important, designate some data as immutable, can't be changed. Can't be changed by a fumble finger employee or by ransomware on the network, and that's really big. They also do not charge for egress. That saves you a ton of money. Ton of downloads do not cost you. And they don't charge for API access. And their API is the same as Amazon's S3. So all the tools you use already will work. Secure, it's HIPAA compliant, FINRA compliant, CJIS compliant. I mean, these are the selling points. It's pretty obvious. The trick is you got to tell the boss, look, I know you know Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, but this is better. And you're going to save 80% with Wasabi. Calculate the savings for yourself and try it free for a month. Unlimited storage when you use the offer code TWIT, T-W-I-T, at checkout. Wasabi.com. If you're thinking about migrating, you're preparing a migration, maybe you're already in the cloud, this is a better way. Join that movement. Migrate to the cloud with confidence, knowing your data is safer and more secure at Wasabi. Go to Wasabi, WASABI.com. And don't forget the offer code TWIT for free unlimited storage for a month so you can really bang on it. Wasabi. 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 Thank him so much for making the Tech Guy podcast possible. Wasabi. I said, what'd he say? He said, listen, I've traveled every road in this here land. He's Johnny Jet, our traveling guru. JohnnyJet.com. Each and every week, he helps us travel better with technology. Hey, Johnny.
Hello, Leo.
I was just mentioning that I saw you. CNN had a story on the best way to disembark an airplane.
Yeah, I got picked up. CNN wrote about it, and then all of a sudden I started getting all these Google alerts, all different.
So did it come from your website originally?
No. This was someone from CNN.
CNN Travel.
Francesca Street. They emailed me and called me up and
it says that's what frequent flyer Johnny Jet Descala recommends. I think people should get up and have their bag ready because I think that's what takes time. I know I hate Lisa's very impatient, my wife, and when we're sitting in the back of the plane, and it doesn't take that long.
No.
And I actually don't like it when people get up and they're blocking the aisle. You can't get to your bag. They're standing up like they're going to be the next one off when we can clearly see nobody's going anywhere for a while.
Right.
So I don't know if I agree with you, Johnny.
That's fine.
I'm
if you're in the aisle, you should get up and have your bag ready if it's not all ready to go.
I guess so.
But the article was talking about, should they have the person in the aisle, the person in the middle, and then the window all go in that order, even if you're not together.
In fact, they used to board planes that way, and most of them have stopped doing that because people don't like it. What they should do is have chutes on each window that you punch out the window and you jump in the chute and you're out. that would do it.
Yeah, that would do it. But I obviously have a few pet peeves when I travel. The biggest one, which I find lately, is just people are watching their movies. They're on FaceTime without earphones or earbuds.
What?
And
that's
it's just everywhere.
Rude.
They do.
You can hear their stuff. How rude.
And you know what? I just couldn't take it the other day. I had to tell this guy. I was like, "Listen, put some earbuds in." And
what did he do? Did he take it
just
well?
Looked at me like I was crazy. Yeah. And I was like,
"What are you talking about, man? I see this on the Kardashians all the time."
But another thing is that, when people get on the plane, you just don't, in advance, you should think about what you should be taking out, your glasses, your books, or iPad, whatever you're going to use on the plane. You have it all ready to go or have it in a separate pouch. And then when you get to your seat, you throw it up and then you take your seat, and then the planes will board so much faster. And then when you get off the plane, the same thing. You always have your bag ready to go. And then you just grab it and go. A lot of
this is the airline's fault, though, because of baggage fees.
Agreed. They should.
So people are checking not checking. They're carrying on ginormous bags. They got 4 bags. They're trying to jam them all in. That's what's taking so long.
Well, Southwest Airlines doesn't charge for 2 check bags, and what they should do is they should charge for carry-on bags, but give check bags for free if they want. That's an interesting idea. If they want to turn these planes around quickly.
That's a great idea.
So. Because I would pay for overhead bin space.
Not a lot, $10, not a huge amount, but just enough to incent people.
Just enough. Yeah. But let their bags check for free.
Well, and that's also the problem on Southwest, because they don't have assigned seating. Is you kind of you want to get in that early group because the overhead bins get full fast.
That, and also you want either an aisle or your window, whatever you want to get.
That's another problem when somebody has to go all the way to the back to put their bag in the overhead bin, and then they go all the way forward to sit down. It drives me nuts.
But that doesn't drive me nuts. I just feel bad for that person. But
they really slow down disembarking because they're fighting upstream like a salmon, going, "Give me my bag, give me my bag," and the whole thing's a mess.
Speaking of Southwest, if the plane is not full, which these days is highly unlikely, but if it's not, the trick is to have an open seat next to you on Southwest. Is let's say you're
cough,
traveling.
you go.
Yeah, well, you have your partner take the aisle, you take the window, and then put a Kleenex box in the middle seat.
I feel so sick. I can't. Honey, hand me the Venezuela.
And wear a mask.
Wear a mask. That'll work.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. And if body parts are falling off, even better. I'm sorry.
All right.
Let's get an app and a website here for Mr. Johnny Jet.
Okay. So, how about, you heard of staycation, obviously.
Yes.
The term where you don't travel anywhere, you're going somewhere local. Well, have you heard of one called Daycation, which is an app and a website, daycation.com, where you can actually buy access to a hotel pool that's
what a good idea.
I have mixed reviews
pool.
about this, because if you're a guest at this hotel, why do you want
locals?
Why do you want it to be more crowded?
I came here to get away from the locals.
Well, it's not just locals. You could be staying at a cheap hotel, and then I looked for Beverly Hills.
Those people are staying down the road at the Motel 6. What are they doing here?
They have the Beverly Hills Hilton as one of them. In Chicago, they have the Park Hyatt. These are some nice hotels, and some of them are only $25 per guest.
Hotels are funny because don't they charge their guests more than that for resort fees?
Some of them do. So, I don't know if this is a new trend, but I'm not sure I like it. But, the hotels are like airlines. They're just trying to figure out ways they can make money.
Highly recommend the W Hollywood Hotel rooftop pool.
And how much is that? Says it right underneath.
Yeah, I'm looking. Day pass starts at $20 a guest. That's a great deal. They've got a nice restaurant up there. The view is spectacular. There's always
it's an incredible deal.
Gorgeous people there pretending to be famous.
You could rent a house in a certain city. And this is, by the way, worldwide, although they don't have that many. I saw like Aruba, a couple of Caribbean islands. But you could rent an apartment and then go get the services at a nice hotel.
I think it's great. You can do that in Vegas too. I know that most of those resorts are open.
For sure. Well, Vegas, they even charge. I mean, especially in the summertime, they have these
parties,
huge parties, $50 at least.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've been to some of these pool parties. It's like a scene out of the Star Wars movies, the bar scene.
Yeah, I know. There's 100 people in the pool. You can't even move. It's crazy.
Go there late in the afternoon, people are wasted, and
not fun. That's
you're
not
in
fun.
for it.
Not my idea of a good time.
For some people, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're young.
Maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah, the youngs like that.
12 years ago.
So this is an app, Daycation.
And it's also a website. And by the way, the app is only for iOS right now.
Okay.
So sorry for all the Android users who are looking for it. But so that's that. And I don't think we have a lot of time, but I did have my 1,000,000-mile flight this week.
What? Did Sam Elliott come sit down next to you and offer you a Mai Tai?
I was hoping, but that was 10 million miles.
Oh.
And no, I've flown way more. I've flown a few million miles, but on American Airlines, I just crossed my 1,000,000-mile. And I'm close to it on United right now. But cool. There was nothing. It was very anticlimactic. They did nothing.
What?
Not even a peep. Not even a thing.
$1 million.
For all this time, money.
How long did it take to get 1,000,000 miles?
I think I started flying American about 8 years ago, 7 years ago, 6. Because I used to fly United, then I started flying Delta, and then I started flying American. But I still fly, usually I fly 20, 30 different airlines a year. But for American and its partners, I've just crossed the 1,000,000-mile mark where I paid for it.
Well, I'm going to send you some silver wings.
Well, they actually, I shouldn't say they didn't do anything. They actually gave me 35,000 bonus miles, which they do to everybody. And they give you lifetime gold status, which really does nothing for you. You can only get a really good seat the time you check in. You can't do it when you book. So by the time you check in, they're gone.
Oh, that's not good.
And the more you fly, the more you get. On United, they give you the first mile, they give you gold. The first million, the second million, they give you platinum. And then they keep going all the way up. So if you have 4 million miles, you can get their highest status, which is global services.
Well, I think, you're Sam Elliott in my book. Johnny Jet. He's johnnyjet.com. He is on the Twitter and the Instagram as Johnny Jet, and he's always worth following and Check his Twitter list. It's amazing. Thank you, Johnny.
Cool.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's my number. If you want to talk high tech with me, I'd love to hear from you. Chad on the line from Albertville, Alabama. Hello, Chad.
W6T, WT, KJ4RVN. How are you, Leo?
KJ4RVN. I'm great.
Good.
7-3, my friend. What's up?
Yeah, hey, I've got two quick questions for you. The first one is I've got a little network set up at the house. I run a PS4 video game server called Arc.
Oh, how interesting. So you run it on a PS4?
I do. I actually had to buy an extra PS4, an extra copy of the game, and an extra subscription to PlayStation Network.
Wow. And then other people could play against you over the internet.
Right. And, so it's really good for me and my brother because he lives in Tennessee.
What a nice idea.
And, with me, him, and my cousins, we all get in there and we host our own.
Oh, I love that.
Even if I'm not on, they can still get on the server.
This is the one where you evolve like dinosaurs, right, Ark?
Right.
Yeah, I love that game. It's a lot of fun, and you get to ride them.
Oh, it really is. It's addicting. The problem I've been having is so anytime you load into the game and you're ready to host a online, a server, it says that it requires a NAT1 connection.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have a NAT1 connection. The PlayStation itself keeps telling me it's got a NAT2. So I did a little research, and
we're getting network questions today, aren't we? This is good.
So what little bit of research I've done is it says to get a NAT1 connection, I need to be directly from the ISP, so coming right off my cable modem. Is there any way that I can do that without having to have an extra subscription to Spectrum?
Yeah, they used to be able to do that with something called Hamachi. And the idea was you created a private network. It was a very weird idea. LogMeIn bought Hamachi, and I don't know if you can still do this. NAT1 is basically a one-to-one connection, point-to-point connection. And the reason it's good is for a game, that way you kind of can reduce latency. Lag is, of course, a killer in a first-person shooter or multiplayer game because you want everybody to somewhat equal in terms of their performance, their network performance. So, have you tried DMZing it?
I have. I've got a Asus RT3200, and I've done that, and I told it, this is the target I want you to look at. And whenever I run that PlayStation internet test, I guess you would call it.
It still says Type 2, huh?
Still shows Type 2.
It kind of knows you're behind a router. So the way to do it is to take the router out. So earlier we were talking about this concept of networking and why routers even exist. Because if you only had one device in your house, you didn't need a router. You just connect it up to the cable modem or the DSL modem, and that's that. In the early days when I was dialing into the internet, that's exactly how it worked. I had one connection. Didn't need a router.
Right.
But we all now have multiple devices in the house. So there's another good reason to have a router, by the way, because that's the thing on the internet, not your computer, which has vulnerabilities. The router is just such a dumb box that usually it's a good thing to put on the front line of the internet because it doesn't know what to do. It can't handle it. Unless the router has a major flaw in it, which some do, it's a lot safer. It's a firewall. But if you're willing to take a chance, of course, you could just put your PS4 directly on the net.
Right. So, yeah, I really didn't know what to do.
I'm surprised DMZing doesn't work. That's an awful lot to ask.
Right. Which I did. What I wound up doing, it works somewhat well. It's given the ports that it needs, as I just went through and found.
You port forwarded. Yeah, you port forwarded.
Right.
Yeah, but it sounds like the PlayStation senses port forwarding, DMZing. These are the two things you can do to say traffic to this machine should go direct. It's still going through the router, and apparently PlayStation's smart enough to say, I see a router. I don't like it.
Right. So I've kind of given up on it, but I figured I'd ask you about it. And
yeah, Sony, I'm looking at a page at portforward.com where it says Sony really hasn't told anybody what a Type 1 connection requires.
Right.
It sounds like if you have an IP address that's in that 10.0 or 192.168, in other words, a local area network address instead of a public internet address, Sony will say,
You've got a NAT 2.
You're a NAT 2. You're not, a full-fledged peer on the network.
Right.
So that's why a DMZ wouldn't work, because even though you're DMZ, the DMZ tells the router, don't even filter anything, just send it right here. But you're still 192.168.1.100 or whatever, and that apparently I think this is a mistake on Sony's part, but if you bridge your router and say don't do any NAT, network address translation, that might work. Again, it means every other device in your house can't get on.
Right.
In fact, you probably will have to physically disconnect your Wi-Fi router, everything else, and only have the PlayStation 4 connected. But
I gotcha.
Because at that point, the router's not doing NAT, network address translation. It's not giving your PlayStation 4 a 192.168 address.
It's passing through.
It's passing it through, so you'll be 76.8. Whatever your ISP is.
Right.
Gives you. I think that's probably the only way to do it. Xbox doesn't do this. This is a Sony thing, and I'm not sure why they do it.
Right.
I guess the theory is if you're running a game server, it's a server. Although every server, I run 4 Minecraft servers, I port forward. That's all you do. And Minecraft doesn't say, I'm behind a router, I'm not going to play. It just says, fine, I'm getting the traffic, what do I need? So it's a little bit prissy of the PlayStation 4, if you ask me.
Right, and that's probably just a Sony thing, like we said.
Of course it's a Sony thing. And they, by the way, have apparently never published what this means. What does NAT 1 mean to you, Sony? So people are guessing what it means.
Right. So I've got another question for you. I'm getting married in October.
Congratulations. That's wonderful. You're going to have to give up ARC.
Oh, I know. No, I don't. She's a video gamer.
Oh, man, you lucked out.
Oh, I know, right? And
good marriage. Good choice.
She is going to, 2 weeks after we're married, she's going on a mission trip to Lebanon, Tyre, Lebanon.
Wow.
Yeah, I know,
Good for
right?
her. Good for her, yeah.
And the concern I'm having is her Verizon phone is not going to
No. Well, it might work.
She's on a wireless connection.
It might work because for years, Verizon was on CDMA and wouldn't work internationally. In fact, they even had special international phones. But if she has a modern iPhone, for instance.
I believe she's got an iPhone 6.
Probably okay, because those are now LTE, not CDMA phones. And they generally will work internationally. The nice thing is Verizon doesn't lock those the SIM card slots, so you could even get a Lebanese SIM card if you wanted to, but that would change your phone number.
Right.
I would call, if I were her, I would call Verizon and make sure. But yeah, I believe the iPhone 6 is an LTE phone, which means it will work globally. All the iPhones work globally, and I just don't remember when that started. But it's the case now.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Otherwise, she'd get a cheap GSM phone, but I think that, she's got an iPhone. She's not going to leave that behind.
Right. Well, good deal. I appreciate it, Leo.
Happy wedding. Congratulations.
Tks, sir.
That's
Have
awesome.
a good one. 73s.
All right, 7-3. That was all ham lingo, amateur radio lingo. Just, it sounded like we were speaking some foreign language. 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Stay tuned. Why, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. The Gizwiz coming up in about 45 minutes. He talks about junky gadgets. So everything. We cover the waterfront. 8888 Ask Leo is my phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We're talking about the new Samsung Note phone. We're talking about smart watches. anything with a chip in it. The internet, talking a lot about networking today, which is probably the geekiest of subjects, and yet one a lot of us have to deal with. 888-827-5536. Everything I talk about, all the links and everything are up on the website, and that is techguylabs.com. techguylabs.com. We're going to actually launch a little mini show, a little mini Tech Guy show, not for the radio, but for YouTube and podcasting, called Ask the Tech Guy. I'm going to answer one question. I answer, how many? A dozen, two dozen every weekend, but just pick one question and kind of do a deep dive on it. I feel like there are subjects where I really kind of need to explain more. I also mentioned we're going to do a YouTube series. We're starting to work on that, called Leo Explains, where we kind of take a subject and do a deep dive on it. And routing will have to be, networking will have to be one for sure. Bitcoin. I think the first one, my son's doing this with me, Henry. And he said, we should do one. Did you see the Black Mirror episode where they talk about social credit? Remember that? I don't know if you remember that. But it's a near future world where you get points, positive or negative, for what you post on Facebook and Instagram. And everybody's posting all the time. But if your social credit goes down too low, you get thrown in jail, or you can't buy stuff, or people shun you. And it's science fiction, except apparently in China they're starting to adopt a somewhat similar system. It started with jaywalking. In one town in the south of China, there was a real problem with people just crossing the road at any time. And I could totally see this. If you've ever been in a Chinese city, of course. So they put cameras in, and they did face recognition on the jaywalkers. And then they would post their face and their name and details about them on a billboard on the street, saying this guy was jaywalking. And that works so well, they're slowly expanding the system. And according to Western reports, although I've seen articles say that maybe you guys aren't completely understanding what this system is, but according to Western reports anyway, in some Chinese cities, and they're apparently rolling it out in the capital city of Beijing, if you don't pay back loans, we kind of have a system like that. Your FICO score goes down, right? Your credit score goes down. But there it may even be more extensive. You may not be able to buy airplane or rail tickets. It could have a much more drastic consequence. I don't think it's so different than our credit report system. But what if we started taking away points for social faux pas? Oh, that guy's taillighting. Take away 2 points. On the one hand, I think people would be better behaved. Don't you wish you could do that sometimes? That guy just cut me off. 3 points to Gryffindor. It'd be really kind of nice to be able to do that. People would be better behaved. On the other hand, it gives the country, the government, a lot of power. Oh, we don't like what he's saying about us. Let's take 10 points off. So I thought it'd be interesting to we'll do a little video on the social credit system in China, really what they're really doing, and whether that kind of thing could work here in the West. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the best place to go. TechGuyLabs.com, the website. There you can find everything. And when we do launch these various programs like Ask the Tech Guy and the Leo Explains series, we'll let you know about those. Ask the Tech Guy's coming out. I think we're going to start that next week. And by the way, we're welcoming questions. Ask the Tech Guy at twit.tv. If you have a question, not a personal, less so a question for you and your problem, but just more general questions, I'd love to hear those. Ask the Tech Guy at twit.tv. Line 3, Mary, Lisbon, North Dakota. Thanks for hanging on, Mary. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Yes, I've got some questions about BitLocker. And
perfect. This would be perfect. This is going to be, I'll make an episode on that. Yes. BitLocker is Microsoft's hard drive encryption technology.
Okay. I recently took your advice and bought some SSDs for my husband's and mine older laptops. And they had Windows 10 Pro on it. So I did mine, got all the way through it, installed Windows, put BitLocker in, installed all my files. Everything went fine. Then I did my husband's. Everything seemed to go fine. And all of a sudden, after I got everything on there, I did a reboot, and I got a blue screen of death.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And, of course, with Bitlocker, I couldn't see anything. And
You're out of luck. Yeah.
Hours. Yeah. I tried for about 4 hours and finally gave up and just, reformatted the drive, put everything all over again, got everything in. This time I didn't put Bitlocker on because I'm a little bit paranoid.
I don't blame you.
I got all the way through it and got a blue screen of death again.
Oh, so maybe it wasn't Bitlocker. Maybe there's something wrong with that system.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I wound up calling the hard drive with Sandisk. And what I wound up doing, and what solved that problem, was I actually had to update the BIOS on that laptop.
Oh, interesting.
And once I updated the BIOS, everything's fine.
Good.
But when I talked to Sandisk a couple of times, and they were really good helping me get through this, try different things. But the guy at Sandisk told me that you should not put encryption on an SSD, which is not what you said, and that's why I want to get your opinion, because now I'm paranoid to put it on there again.
No.
My laptop's working fine with encryption on it.
I encrypt every hard drive, SSD drive. Your phone, your iPhone automatically encrypted. Your Android phone, if it's late model, automatically encrypted. Those are SSDs. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Did he say why you shouldn't encrypt an SSD?
No, he didn't. He said they didn't recommend it.
He's wrong. And the proof is in the pudding. In fact, I just got a brand new Windows computer from Lenovo, and it was Windows Home. As you mentioned correctly, Bitlocker, weirdly, is only on Windows Pro. It should be on all versions of Windows because encryption, it's good. It keeps your hard drive private. In case you sell it or give it away, there's no data on it anybody can get.
Okay.
But Microsoft should put it on there, but Home does not include it. However, I just got a new Lenovo machine with Windows Home on it. It came pre-encrypted. Bitlocker was turned on at the factory on an SSD, I might add. So I don't know what. Now, when you say Sandisk, it's an internal drive, right? It's not like a little SD card or something.
No. It's an internal.
Okay. I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't want to encrypt. The only reason you might not want to encrypt is because there is a little bit of overhead. The computer has to work to decrypt it. But modern computers are so fast that's imperceptible. It does not. It does not harm the drive in any way. It's all done in RAM and then written out to the drive, so it doesn't change how things are written to the drive. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. It does sound like the Sandisk was incompatible with your computer, and so the BIOS update fixed that, which is very good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. Question for if you should have, forget a blue screen of death, if something like that happens again, is there any way when you have, the key and everything for that hard drive? Because normally in the past, if it hasn't been encrypted, I just pull it out, hook it to a
that won't work now.
There is no way of getting it, even if you have the key, if it isn't in the original.
There is a way, but it's really important, and I have to look into how they do BitLocker today. But in the past, Microsoft used a certificate system for BitLocker. BitLocker uses a cryptography, and the key is password protected, but you also need the certificates. So there should be in your settings a option to back up the certificates. Put those on a USB key or somewhere else, because
I did.
Oh,
I did.
Good job. You're right on. So that means
and that's why.
That means you're okay.
I don't think I would have got. Yeah. Okay. I have a second question. I started experimenting with OneDrive because I went to Office 365 and I thought, why not back up my files on OneDrive?
Yeah, it's built in.
And then I did that, on these laptops. But I have a strange situation on my desk computer, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it. I haven't upgraded to 1903. I'm still on 1809. On there, I see the status symbol. If you go to the File Explorer, and it goes, the one column says status, and it shows a cloud if it's just in the cloud, and it shows the check mark if it's, sync between both. On both my husband's laptop and my laptop, which I just downloaded 1903 and did them the last week, they don't have the status, and I can't find any way of seeing how the status
Thank you, Microsoft. They must have turned that off. Make sure OneDrive is turned on and is in fact synchronizing that drive, but I bet you it is, right? You've checked that much.
I just check things.
Yeah, you can always look at the cloud and say, is it there? And it is. I do seem to remember that Microsoft has turned off those badges.
They did. Okay.
Yeah, but I'll have to. That's my poor memory. Let me just 1903 encryption badges. I wonder if they've turned those off. And it may also be that there's a way to turn it back on again. So I'm going to have to. Yeah, drive icons.
The internet
Yeah, here it is. You're exactly right.
Internet.
So it says Microsoft in 1903 has screwed up notification icons. So I think they'll fix that. They've got to fix that because those icons are so important to let you know whether that file's backed up or in the process of backing up.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to go online and check every file.
No.
700 terabytes or 700 gigabytes of data. That's too much to try to go back and check.
This is really annoying. I think they'll bring that back. That's got to be an oversight. I'm going to have to look. I bet you there may also be a setting. You might go into the OneDrive settings and make sure you have, I remember if they call it disk badges or what, but make sure those are turned on. You'll know when you see it. Make sure those are turned on.
I've gone through all the settings I can find. I even went in. There's a couple online things that talk about going into the registry, and I went in there and I couldn't get it to work either.
Very frustrating. Yeah, I'll have to do some research. I haven't noticed this. You do want to be on 1903. Microsoft is doing an end of life for the older updates, so you do want to get those updates, even though, honestly, they're just feature updates, and you're still getting security updates. So I think this is a bad feature if they've turned that off. That seems surprising. If they did, they'll turn it back on, I'm sure.
Okay.
You're obviously the family geek. I think that's great, Mary. Thanks.
I want to thank you. Thank you very much. And I really enjoy those SSDs. They really speeded up the old old computers.
Isn't that great? And I'm really glad that you are listening and smart enough to encrypt that. That's great. You're going to be so happy when the time comes to retire them, you don't have to erase them. That's great.
Right. The only thing is my husband's has got data on now before I put the BitLocker on, but I don't think.
Yeah, see, and I think that would have happened anyway. It's probably good it happened because that would have happened anyway. If you needed a BIOS update for that drive to work, it probably was flaky. It probably wasn't a reliable system.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Leo.
Take care. My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls coming up in just a little bit. Stay right here. It's just human nature, that's all. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Rob in Tarzana, California. Hey, Rob.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, how Rob. I'm great. How are you doing?
I love you. I'm great. I've loved your show for years, and you're my go-to source for tech.
Okay. Right on, Daddy-O.
Today, because a couple weeks ago, I replaced my Ricoh business class laser printer.
Oh, yeah.
That was connected to my desktop, PC with Windows 10 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
The PC is connected to a 10-year-old backup and surge protector, for backup and power protection. The printer is not plugged into the backup unit. It's plugged into a separate wall outlet. Here's the problem. So since I connected that replacement laser printer to my PC, the on battery light on the backup Pro unit beeps every 52.
Oh, isn't that annoying? I hate it when that happens.
Jeez, it sure is. And that indicates, according to the owner's manual, that indicates that the battery is powering the PC for 1 or 2 seconds, not the AC power. So when I turn off that printer, this doesn't happen.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
So, and I tried, So
the printer's is plugged into the wall, not the power strip. Only the computer is plugged into the battery backup.
Correct.
Yeah. No, I mean I've had this happen when you just you're pulling too much juice from these UPSs. They'll act this way as well. My guess is as soon as you said my 10-year-old UPS, that's when I went, uh-oh. Because normally the batteries in these wear out.
Even when I replaced the battery.
You did? Oh, good. Okay. So you have been replacing the battery every few years.
Oh, every year I do.
Oh, good man. Okay, so it's not that.
Yeah,
because UPS batteries have to be replaced because they wore out.
Sure.
It's interesting. Even though the laser is not plugged into the UPS, it's somehow affecting the UPS. Does it make any sense? The computer would be drawing more power. Is the laser printer connected to the computer via a cable?
A USB, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, the older USB printer was not causing this problem.
Yeah. I mean, USB does draw power. Not much. You can only, at maximum, draw 5 volts times 2 amps. What's that, 10 watts? But that you just might be right on the edge of what that UPS can support. And again, as UPSs wear, maybe their capacity goes down a little bit. Because there's other circuitry besides the battery that can get worn. So that's all I could think of is maybe that little extra 10 watts is enough to make the UPS choke.
Yeah, maybe I need a more powerful UPS to connect.
Yeah, so you should do the little UPS calculator. Every one of these UPS companies has it that says how many watts you need and how big a UPS you should buy for it. The other possibility, laser printers are notorious. They take a lot of juice because they use heaters to fuse the toner. And so, as you know, any elements that heat up, those are huge power draws. And laser printers, when they're not printing, are quiet. And then when they are printing, take a lot of juice. So they're very spiky. And it may well be that even though the laser printer is not on the UPS, what you may have happening is that some UPSs, maybe you have a fancy one, will take care of brownouts as well. So that may also be that because the laser printer is drawing juice from the circuit, the same plug on the wall that the UPS is using, it could be that as well. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head. It doesn't seem like it should be doing this, but those are the two possibilities. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So the laser printer is drawing power, and it's causing the UPS to protect the computer from a brownout, is what I'm saying. Didn't say it very well, but that's what I'm thinking. If you plug the printer into a different plug, in a different place, I wonder. That's interesting. Yeah. 'Tis a conundrum. Tis a puzzlement. Problem is, even if you plug it into a different plug in the same room, it's probably on the same circuit, right? Oh. Stan says you need a separate power circuit for just the laser, or, as happened to him, his UPS was short cycling to battery on every laser spike. Exactly what the caller described. There you go. Yeah, it might need to be in a different room. That's not much of a solution. You could put it on a UPS as well. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Why do I have a sudden craving for some cake? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. All the stuff we talk about on the website, techguylabs.com. That's free, no sign up. And yes, if you think you know why our last caller's laser printer was causing his battery backup on a different circuit to beep, you can also post a comment on the website, and we'd appreciate that. That's, we're all in it together. We all help each other. 8888 Ask Leo. Again, that's the phone number. We go to Mike in L.A. Hello, Mike.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I'm working on a project. I'm looking for a small, portable, wireless camera that works off of Bluetooth, and it needs to work within the range of 85 feet.
So you mean the Bluetooth would then stream to what?
To my phone for video.
So you want a camera 85 feet's a little far for Bluetooth. It's really only supposed to go 30 feet.
Yeah. What I'm doing is I'm a truck driver, and I got my tractor with a 53-foot long.
So you want a camera on the back that you could see in the cab. Yeah.
Right. So I want the camera on the back of the trailer facing forward, and I can see the load in the cab and keep an eye on it. And what I've found out so far is I found a camera, but again, it only works within 10 feet. After that, the signal goes bad.
That's because it's Bluetooth. So here's the good news: is you can still use Wi-Fi, but what you do is the camera becomes a Wi-Fi access point. So it's streaming to your phone via Wi-Fi, which has a 150-foot range. Does that make sense? And so,
where am I getting the Wi-Fi from?
Okay, so this is what's a little weird and confusing. And so don't be too attached to this whole Bluetooth notion. The idea is that the camera itself is a Wi-Fi radio. It's not on a Wi-Fi network. It's its own Wi-Fi network. And your phone joins the camera. It says, you look in your Wi-Fi networks, you'll see the camera, you pick it up, and now you're connected to the camera via Wi-Fi. And there are a number of companies that make Wi-Fi backup cameras for this very reason. I bet you anything they're for trucks.
So what you're saying is
there's no Wi-Fi network. The network is you and the camera.
Oh, correct. So when I hook up, for instance, on my phone, I'll be using the Wi-Fi service from my phone to the camera.
Nope. You'll be using the Wi-Fi service from your camera to the phone. These cameras, in fact, a lot of cameras will do this. My DSLR, my photo camera, if I want to get photos off of it, I turn on its Wi-Fi access point. It becomes a Wi-Fi access point. And then I go into my phone and look for Wi-Fi's, and I see my camera. I join it, and now I can copy at Wi-Fi speed. So the same thing. And Bluetooth, honestly, isn't going to have enough bandwidth anyway. Not only not enough range, but not enough bandwidth. With Wi-Fi, of course, you got plenty of bandwidth and 150-foot range. So if you Google Wi-Fi backup camera, I see a company called Rearview Safety that makes a Wi-Fi backup camera. And the whole reason they do this is because 30 feet is not enough for a lot of circumstances.
Well, what I bought was one of these small 1-inch by 1-inch cube home spy cameras.
Yeah.
And I was using that, and the clarity of it's fine, and it hooks up to the phone.
You just can't put it on the back of your truck.
But you're saying I could switch that to a Wi-Fi signal?
If it does it, the camera has to do it. So I would go to, as an example, rearviewsafety.com. They make a Wi-Fi backup camera system. The camera has a transmitter that creates a Wi-Fi network. The camera is the Wi-Fi network. You run their app on your phone. It joins that Wi-Fi network. You can go 100 feet. And it's also waterproof, which I think is important because you're just going to be out in the elements, right? It's going to be on the back of your truck. So this is just one example. There are many of these, but you could Google Wi-Fi backup camera, and you'll find quite a few of them. Wi-Fi is the technology you want, not Bluetooth. It's not far enough. It's not fast enough. And Wi-Fi is a very easy thing to use. Now, the only disadvantage of this is when you get to a truck stop or somewhere where you want to use your phone with a real Wi-Fi signal, you have to go onto the phone and say, okay, stop connecting to the camera, start connecting to the internet. So you won't be able to use Wi-Fi for the internet as you're driving, but I don't think you would anyway. You can only connect to one Wi-Fi signal at a time. That's why. Joe in Austin, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Leo, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I'm updating some stuff in my house because I'm going to fiber.
Oh, my. I'm so jealous. How fast is your fiber going to be?
We severed up a coax, and now we're going to fiber, and I guess moving up to the east side now. So.
Yeah, moving on up. So turn off your radio because you're only hearing me after I say it on the radio, which is considerably after I say it in the real world.
Okay, no problem. What I'm looking for is a good Wi-Fi router that's quad-core tri-band.
ASUS. My favorites are the ASUSes, partly because their firmware is based on an open source firmware called DDWRT. They call it ASUS WRT, which means you can update it. ASUS gets it updated. It's very capable. I don't know how many cores are in its processor. I don't even know if that.
Are cores.
Yeah, I don't know how important that is, but you do want, I agree, tri-band, because that gives you not only the 2.4 gigahertz, but 2 5 gigahertz bands, and that'll give you the most flexibility.
I'm looking for you, sir.
Yeah. So my strong recommendation is one of the Asus wired routers. They're or AP routers, I should say, access point routers. They're very, very good. And
Are those ones that are the crowns?
yeah, you can tell, you can buy them based on the number of antennas. The more they look like a spider, the more they'll cost. But I think they're very good. I think they're excellent broadband routers. Very highly recommend. ASUS, and I'm just looking now. Actually, you know where I'm going to go? I'm going to go to the wirecutter.com because I really like their reviews and see what they say about routers, which ones they recommend. I bet you, I'm going to guess that they're going to recommend. Oh no, they still like the TP-Links. The TP-Link Archer 20. It is a tri-band. I honestly don't know what the CPU is in it. But that one does have 6 antennas, so it almost looks like a spider. And then, the other one I should mention, I really do like these, are the Synologies. It's not a tri-band, it's a dual band, though, the RT2600 AT. And I am still a fan of the Asuses. It looks like the Wirecutter does not pick them as their top pick. Their top pick is a TP-Link Archer A20. They've liked those TP-Links a lot in the past. Let's see, the Archer A20 has features such as a quad-core processor and band steering over its 3 channels. So there you go. That solves all your problems. See, I think sneak in one more before the GizWiz joins us. Dave is on the line from California City. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Leo. First-time caller, and I don't have a question, but I'd like to help a previous caller.
I like that. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the guy with the laser printer that was knocking out his UPC, hopefully he's still listening.
Yeah.
One thing that he can check, and I've seen this, I had this problem in my house, is overheating the outlet.
Oh, my goodness.
I would recommend that he replaces the whole outlet.
Yeah, that's a bad sign.
Or something. But what can cause it is if the contacts inside, they might get worn, maybe they weren't installed right, is as you draw more current, of course, the contacts are going to heat up. And this can cause the contacts to separate.
Excellent solution.
I plugged in a treadmill and it knocked out power to half a room. And
we are actually having our electrician come out and replace our outlets. They're about 10 years old, and it's a good idea to do that on a regular basis. You can even have fires. So what a great tip. Thank you, Dave. Check that outlet. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's disco time. Get the fever with Dick DeBartolo. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's time for our gizmo wizard. There ain't no stopping him now. He's Dick DeBartolo, Mad's maddest writer in the GizWiz. Hello, Dickie D.
Leo, how you doing, pal?
I am great. How are you today?
I'm good. I have a bit of news there. It will be one additional issue of Mad that I know of because the publisher, Dan DiDio, said they were taken aback by the response.
They had no idea what they owned, did they?
No. So the Mad 20 is like the most popular Mad of the year, so they are going to produce a Mad 20.
You know, everybody, you run out right now, subscribe to Mad Magazine. Let's show DC and their parent company, AT&T, that people love Mad Magazine and they want it to survive. And I think this is, hey, we could take down the Berlin Wall. We can get AT&T to bring back Mad Magazine. It's time. Awesome.
Thank you.
That's good. That's a start anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's back to school time.
How did that
only have
happen?
6 months more. I know.
Congratulations. You're going to get that degree, Dick. I know it.
I really am. I think there's a rule there because the university I'm going to said that the student can't be more than 20 years older than the professor. So I think they're going to just grant me one without.
That's so funny. I actually checked with my college because I never got my degree, never finished. And they said, yeah, we like our students to finish in 4 years, not 40.
I see.
Oh, well.
Yeah, I didn't finish either.
Yeah,
I was studying TV production, and the professor said, next week we're going to go to a real studio. And everybody went,
we're going to meet Joey Bishop. It'll be so exciting.
Except I was already writing Match Game, and so...
So you're not kidding?
No, I'm not kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought...
You were already writing Match Game.
Yeah, I figured this can't be. Wow. Anyway.
Let me read you a tweet from the great comic and a great guy, Kevin Pollak. He just tweeted, I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Mad Magazine was my first comedy professor. Such a gateway drug. Loved this cover in the film. I didn't know it. Did you know that Mad was featured in the film?
Yes.
The special Tarantino Time Warp issue?
Yes, Tarantino hired Tom Richmond to recreate a Mad. Have you seen the movie?
Not yet. Don't give it away.
No, not. But it's about an aging star who's failing in popularity, and they wanted an old TV Guide cover and an old Mad cover with him on it. So they commissioned Tom Richmond to do this, and then they decided, why don't we just make that the cover of Mad? So they
awesome. Did. And Pollak goes on, loved the parody of Mrs. Maisel. It's the first time I've been drawn in a Mad piece, he said. This is all too joyful. That's awesome. That's awesome. Great. Yeah, Pollak was wonderful in Mrs. Maisel. Wow, that's so cool. I am proud to say that thanks to you, I have been drawn in Mad Magazine, as has my wife, Lisa.
Yeah, and I say thanks to you, I have a career in podcasting. No, I'm serious.
Well, it's funny because for years, I've been doing podcasts, including this show, for 15 years. For years, I would say I'm a podcaster, and people go, what's that? But this year, apparently, podcasting's been discovered, so I can now, with pride, say I'm a podcaster. People go, oh. Ooh.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I know.
Wow. You're certainly hip. You're with it. All right, Dickie D. Usually you bring us some crazy gizmo or gadget.
Yeah, you know what? This is not crazy, but it's very unique. Okay, I was looking for backpacks for back to school for an ABC piece, and I found this anti-theft backpack. And when I looked at it on Amazon, I thought, wait a minute. I see why it's anti-theft. It has no pockets. So I bought one, and this is so clever. There are no pockets in the back. You have to take the backpack off, unzip the zipper, and then the whole back of the backpack folds open, and there is your computer, and there are all the pockets. And also there are 2 ports on the side, so if you are not listening via Bluetooth and you want to plug in your headphones, you can also put your little external battery charger in there.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
Hook it up through a cable, and then those 2 ports come out on the side of the backpack. But Leo, it's under $20.
Nice.
And I checked right before the show. It's down to $15.99
on Amazon.
On Amazon, nice. Yeah. It's really nicely designed, and I bought one, and I weighed it. It's 2.2 pounds out of the package, so it on its own is not terribly heavyweight. And they say waterproof fabric. So a neat way for back to school for all your electronics.
Very cool. And you can find a link to this and to the Amazon site at Dick's website, gizwiz.biz, Click the GizWiz Visits the Tech Guy. Right below that button, what the heck is it? Even though Mad Magazine is slowly winding down, Dick is not winding down his crazy contest to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Just identify, correctly or not, doesn't really matter, this close-up of a gizmo or a gadget. I think I know what this is. In fact, I feel fairly sure that I know what it is, but I'm not going to say. I should just send in an entry.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that. I'll send you, Mad. Yeah. Employers, unlike other contests, employers can enter.
Hey, let me ask you a question. The chat room's been asking. I think it's a great question. Is there anywhere where you can get an archive of Mad Magazine's issues? Would it be great if there were an online archive or something?
You know what? If you go to Mad Cover site, he doesn't sell anything, but Doug over there has incredible. It's his livelihood. I called him up one day and I said, Doug, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm a flooring guy. I said, in a store, he said, I own the showroom. I said, at a shopping mall? I said, it must be dull there. He said, I spend most of my life archiving Mad magazine. At Mad, whenever someone can't find out what issue number was Poseidon Adventure, go to Mad cover site.
You're kidding. But now it's just covers, right? Or no?
No, if you go there, it'll tell you every article that every artist wrote. Now, I don't think they've let him upload all the contents, but you can find tons of excerpts. You can find it is really a great resource.
Wasn't there at one point a CD-ROM or DVD magazine collection?
There was Mad. What was it called? All About Mad. There's a DVD with the first 500 issues, and there's a CD-ROM collection with the first 400 issues. So you're way better off getting the DVD. It's a single DVD. I can't remember the name of it now.
How many issues now are there?
We're up to 560.
So you'll be missing the last few years.
You'll be about the last. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but at least you'd have that. And I wonder if that's still available for sale. This site is great. I love this site.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Madcoversite.com. And it's Doug Guilford. Yeah.
Amazing guy.
What a nice job he does. That's fun. Well, I'm glad it lives on someday
we'll put our stuff. Someday we should put our stuff online. Is that too crazy an idea?
No, you know what? The whole beauty of this is that no one can hear it. And I want to keep it that way, Dick. I don't know about you, but I love the idea that no one can hear us talk to ourselves.
No, well, you were the one. You were the one who said we put it online, because I said, Leo, if someone downloads it, if someone tunes in and it's not there, do we have to come back and do it live?
Yes.
And then you said, no, Dick, we're recording them now.
These we record.
Yeah.
Dick DeBartolo, gizwiz.biz. Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay,
we'll talk
buddy.
again
See you
next week. Thanks to Big Pee-wee. Damien, good job on the music. He's our musical director. Thanks to Kim Schaffer. She's our phone angel, the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer. Thanks most of all to you for being here. Couldn't do this show without you. Please come back again and we'll do it all over, all right? With all new questions, so it's not boring. I'm still here, though. Sorry. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.